SOSG, 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 standing on solid ground. Hello, this is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. I am your host of this motivational and inspirational podcast, and today's layer of the month, experience. If we think about the word experience, it is defined as the process of living through an event or events. You learn by experience. The skill or knowledge gained by actually doing a thing, like a job, that someone with experience will do or conquer. Now, this was one of my layers. There was faith, hope, patience, endurance, and now I'm at experience. And that experience is very gratifying and very, very important in our lives. If I go to the Word of God, and I'm going to go to Romans 5, and I'm going to start with verse 1. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace wherein we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. And not only so, but we glory in tribulation also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience worketh experience, and experience hope. Now I'm going to stop there at 4. Our patience is one of the greatest things, along with faith, that conjoins and works together. Now, although I am looking at it, that it starts out with faith, where it said faith into this grace within we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. Meaning that we have that faith and we're hoping. But with hoping and with faith and with hope, you got to work patience. And then that patience work experience. And so what is saying is that we have to practice on our patience to have the experience of knowing what patience really is. If we don't ever work on our patience, we cannot tell anyone else about our experiences because we don't have any patience. Now, we can talk about the bad stuff. Girl, I went out with this man, and Lord have mercy, all he did, he talked about himself. From the time I got in the car with him, to the time we went to the restaurant, to the time that we was going to the movie, he would put in inserts. And if that was me, no, I wouldn't have did that. Now, if that was me, I would have did this, and that. I wouldn't put up with that. And then back home. That was the worst experience of her life. Why? Because all he was talking about was himself. Man, I went out with this fly woman last night. Ooh, she looked good. But man, all she was talking about is, you know what? I want me some diamonds. And, I don't take anything less than maybe $5,000 or $10,000. If anybody gonna give me any gifts, I want them to show me that they appreciate me. Don't be bringing me like that. I met this guy and he bought me this ring. I couldn't even see the diamond. I had to go get me a magnifying glass just to make sure a diamond was even in it. Give me something that looked like it came out of gumball machine. And that's a bad experience for him. because she's painting a picture of who she is, just like the man painted the picture of who he was. And so that type of experience is a totally different type of experience, because what could happen is we can give someone bad advice. Because the first thing, you'll be talking to somebody that's getting ready to go out on a date. Girl, if he start talking about himself and start telling you this about him, what he would do there and what he would do there, he might talk about himself. But what happens is what your experience and what you did with this person and the experience of what that person that's going out on a date with another person, that's two different people. You can't lump everybody together, that experience. So when we have patience that work with experience, God is talking about going through trials and tribulations. It's like going through a process that you're unfamiliar with. I explained to you on May the 29th, the day before Memorial Day, I had a very unfortunate accident to happen. I put too much lighter fluid into my barbecue because I was trying to relight the flame. It had already been started, but it was dying out, and I wanted it to keep going because I had a little bit more stuff that I needed to do, and it hadn't did that in a while, and I didn't know what happened. And I squirted some more lighter fluid in it, and I went to light it, and when I lit it, it backdrafted on me, meaning I felt the heat, but I didn't feel actual fire. I just felt the heat of it. And Lord knows, my hand was burning. My hand was just on fire when I went in. To the ER, I went immediately to the ER. They put this ointment on and wrapped it up and told me to go to the burn clinic, and it blistered really bad. And I just went through this was a bad experience. But you know what? It has to work patience too. And the reasons why that patience is going to work this experience, because I have to be patient to let it heal. Now my skin is growing back. I'm down to a glove and just a compression. I was wrapped up in bandages. I had to put on ointment. But they told me from the week that they saw me on the 2nd of June to the 9th of June, they was like, that's miraculous. You're healing wonderfully and fast. You are really healing really good. And so they put me in a glove and a compression strip to put on my arm because the wound was a little longer than the glove. So they wanted to make sure all of that was covered. I'm being patient now. I'm being patient in my healing. Now we're going into 2 weeks. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. That was the slowest 2 weeks of my life. But it was patience that I had to endure through in order to experience what I need to face. This is an experience that I've never been through before, not at this magnitude. But the thing is, the experience will teach me a lot of things about how to be hopeful, to know that my pigmentation is going to return. It's going to take some time. It's going to take probably about a year, they told me. But you know what? I'm leaving it in my God's hands. That the patience and experience the hope, I'm hoping for full recovery from this experience, which is a bad experience. But I have to be patient through the whole process. So you see how this is all working together. The experience of going through something is learning how to trust in God in the whole process. No matter how painful it may be, no matter how gruesome it may look, no matter how embarrassed you are, the experience of it all is going to teach you a very valuable lesson. And then now the hope process is to have a full recovery, to have no scar tissues and nothing to remind me of that other than my thought or lighting another fire. That will be the triggering factor. And that experience of knowing what could happen if I do something wrong, that experience that I've lived through will give me the hope and the understanding of knowing, hey, don't do that again. Lesson learned. You got to be careful. You have to respect fire, just like you have to respect water, just like you have to respect Mother Nature, period. You have to respect it. Don't just take it for granted because you know what you think you know what you're doing, that it's going to always be successful. It's not. This was a very emotional experience for me. And so this is why I take these layers and I'm breaking them up. In the beginning last year, when this process first started, the experience of going through this process, to think that a year and a half later, God is still blessing this to go forward. That's an experience. Someone can sit down and say and ask me, what was the process? What were the challenges? What were the expectations? What were the letdowns? I can tell them from experience what that process was. For me, everyone have different experiences when they do different things. So, the layer of the month is experience. What do we go through? What can we learn from it? How do we get through it? And what can we teach at a later time? Because someone else is going to want to know, how did you get through it? And they want to know the experience. I would love to be able one day that maybe to sit down and talk to some of my favorite actors that are older and that are wise. Not because I want to get into movies or I want to hear about their experiences or what all they had to go through to be where they are today. I don't know. I'm not an actress. I don't act. But I would like to know their experiences. I would like to sit down one day and talk to those that had experienced that face-to-face racism. Where they looked and seen there was white only and then colored bathrooms. White only to enter the front where they had to go through the back. See, my dad told me a little bit about it. But I know that I can learn more from those that are still living, that have been through that. And they can tell me their experiences. See, my dad told me about his experience. But I would like to know what others have. And I have family members that I can talk to. But I want a neutral person, someone I don't know. I may know them from television, acting, movies, whatever. But I don't know them. I'm not interested in how they, I would be interested in how they got into the movies and how to acting, but I will be more interested in how they got through all that they got through to get to that point. Their experience. We learn from our own experiences as well as from others. And this is why it is important that this layer is in here, because although it may not seem like it have a great significance. Like the song says, I'm going to tell the Lord how I made it over, how I got over. Aretha Franklin's famous song, how I got over. You know, there are people here on this earth that want to know how to get over, how to get through, and then learn from the experiences that they went through. That when they are faced with other challenges in their life later down the line, they can recall what they've been through and how they got through it, and know that if they made it through that one, they'll make it through this next one too. Layer of the month, experience. This is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. You have yourself a wonderful and blessed day.